sending out a sense of loving kindness to the world, but also to ourselves. And it starts going outward, and it starts with the quote unquote like easier people, right? Our favorite person in the world, the people that we love, our close family. But then the practice goes to extending it to, our neighborhood, our community at large, our coworkers, maybe that difficult coworker, maybe that person who annoys you. And so you see how this starts to act on a bigger level. But most importantly, what I love about this meditation is so often the person who we're meanest to is ourselves.
Absolutely. Writing with authors, we are back. Vincent A. Lancy here. I'm joined by my new friend, Ashton. We met on a book coaching call. We did some other work over on a mental health break. Be sure to check that out, as she was courageous enough to share her story. But for today, because I met her on the book coaching call, we're talking about not only her new release, some of her existing projects, some advice for everyone out there. Thank you so much for joining me on another show.
Yes, thank you for having me, Vincent. There's nothing I love to talk more about than writing and books.
I love it. So it looks like, to the audience, we found the perfect guest for you. If it's your first time with us, thanks so much for stopping by the YouTube channel. I had the shiny object syndrome with Instagram and other things for so long. So I said, I need a YouTube series just for people out here on YouTube. And I dedicated to aspiring writers, current writers, book lovers, book nerds like myself, everyone in between. You heard her passion for the field. So let's kick it off here. What led you, we'll go back in time, what led you to want to become an author at first?
Ooh, I love this question. Also, I love that you're doing this on YouTube. I'm very excited to share with my audience there as well. It's funny, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with writing, even as young as grade school. So I was at home, typing up poems on my like ancient, Apple computer.
With the
Uh,
big back on it, yeah.
Big back on it, exactly the one with the AOL dial-up internet. And I actually got my first book of poetry published in 5th grade for in my elementary school library.
Amazing.
So yeah, I really have my grandparents to thank for that. They were big storytellers. My grandma was a painter, but she just encouraged any form of art, and my grandpa loved to tell a good story. And so it just inspired writing in me from a young age, and they were the ones that always supported me and motivated me. So it started really young, and I always said in school, oh, I want to be a journalist. I want to write for Condé Nast because I love to travel too.
Yeah.
And plot twist in life, I kind of got that, but instead I just created my own magazine. So
Well, let's talk about that. You said you just created your own magazine. First off, congratulations. What an
oh,
accomplishment. Tell us
thank
about it.
you. Yeah, well, it's all online. It's youaligned.com, and it's a wellness and yoga magazine. We also have a membership side to it, but it originally did start as purely yoga, wellness, and meditation as a digital magazine, and digital for a couple reasons. So we could be green, and also because we
Right.
have a global reach. And from the start, we brought writers in from around the world. So it's been such a cool experience for me to not just be able to write articles for the magazine, but also edit and be an editor for so many other incredible writers. So yeah, it's really been a life full of writing in different forms for me, Vincent.
Well, I love it. And I think it's certainly motivational for everyone out there. Don't get stuck up on which medium you want to publish, whether it's a book, maybe it's a website. There is something for you. And for me, especially, writing is like my number one therapy. I love writing. When I'm writing, I'm in my own zone. And that's kind of, I find, with you too. And that's what led you to your most recent book. Everyone out there, especially if you're a supporter of hers already, you're going to love what she's got as a placeholder for her upcoming book release.
You ready to see this? Dun, 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 dun.
101 mindfulness practices for anxiety. It's something that affects so many out there. Not everyone feels like they're not alone. And I think this book will bring a community together. Let's talk about this latest project.
Yeah, well, I'm very charged up about it as well for the same reason. I'm a big mental health and wellness advocate, as you know, and I know you are as well. You have a whole podcast about it. And that's the other podcast I've been on. So y'all check that episode out if you haven't already. Hopefully you'll put that in the show notes, Vincent.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And so, my first book, which actually I have, so I'm just going to show as I go, but my first book, Learn, Grow, Shift, is 30 Days of Personal Growth. So immediately I jumped into the personal development genre and self-help genre. My second book is A Year of Self-Motivation for Women. So it's daily practices that help with your mindset, with your motivation, and giving you the inspiration to live your most empowered best life. So I really started to get into this niche of, personal development, mindset, motivation, but then I also really wanted to start working more with my mental health and wellness passion. And that's when this book came into being. So I'm really excited to create this. As I told Vincent right before we jumped on, I am in the final several weeks of finishing up this manuscript before it's due. And I'm just in this creative mode right now. So I'm eating, sleeping, and breathing, mental health, anxiety, mindfulness, all the things. And as much as I love writing, and as you now know, I've been a writer from a very young age, I realized that my purpose in life is to show up and be as much impact for people as possible for their mind, body, life wellness. So that's what really inspired me and what makes me so excited about the 101 mindfulness practices, because I'll finish with this. They're bite-sized, digestible, and accessible, and yet deeply transformative. And that's what I love about it. I cannot wait to share it with you all. And Vincent, you're getting a copy. You're getting a pre-order.
I appreciate that. And now it looks like with these three books, you've kind of connected your whole world and introduced the world to who you are. Do you think we can get one of those 101 practices as a gift to our audience and a little preview?
Ooh, yes, I
All
love that so
right.
much. All right. So the way that that the book is broken down, and you're hearing it first, is
Yes.
by different genre of mindfulness practices. So we've got yoga, mindset, breath work, and a guided meditation. So with that being said, I'm going to offer you all a guided meditation today.
All
Does that
right.
sound
That
good for you,
sounds
Vincent?
great. Thank you so much for bringing this to the audience.
Oh yeah, I love this. I'm so excited. I'm honestly just like, ooh, which one? I've been writing so much of the guided meditations chapter this week. So I'm really excited for that. What we're gonna do is we are going to, let's see. Ooh, this is so
Well, I'm
exciting.
excited. And if when you tune in to the mental health break episode, excuse me, if you haven't, you're gonna get a good laugh at I think we did my horse sneeze. What did
Yes,
we
the horse lips breath.
Yes, yes, yes. So that was good. Everyone out there, definitely be sure to scroll down the description and check that out after today's show.
Yes, and you know what? Um, you did a really good job on that, Vincent, because that's a like a learning curve breathing exercise, and you just dove right in. So good job, man. Have you been
Uh,
staying up on it? Are you doing horse lips breath throughout the day?
I've been doing more breathing since our last talk for sure, being more mindful of breathing and doing breathing exercises. And I think that it's certainly helped me in an especially busy few weeks.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Well, good. That's perfect. No matter what form of breathing it is, as long as you are doing the active breathing, that's what is really most important. So I love that. Um, all right, well, let's get into it. I am so torn because there's many good practices that I would love to share with you all. But one that's been coming up a lot recently that I feel like will really benefit our audience today is a meta meditation. Have you heard of a meta meditation before, Vincent?
I have not, so let's just start with the basics for everyone.
Cool. So meta is not like Facebook meta. Meta is a Buddhist term that translates to loving kindness. And so sometimes you'll hear of this meditation called loving kindness meditation. And what this is a meditation designed to break down the barriers of anger, frustration, resentment, feeling divided and separate from others and ourselves, and deepen our capacity for compassion.
Love it.
And so, yeah, it's a great meditation to do, throughout the day when you're feeling a little bit frustrated in a traffic jam or you're just having a stressful day. Also, it's a nice one to do anytime you're just feeling a little lonely or like you want some comfort. So there's many, many benefits of this practice. But essentially what it is it's rooted in sending out well wishes. So sending out a sense of loving kindness to the world, but also to ourselves. And it starts going outward, and it starts with the quote unquote like easier people, right? Our favorite person in the world, the people that we love, our close family. But then the practice goes to extending it to, our neighborhood, our community at large, our coworkers, maybe that difficult coworker, maybe that person who annoys you. And so you see how this starts to act on a bigger level. But most importantly, what I love about this meditation is so often the person who we're meanest to is ourselves.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yep. And so this practice ultimately is about being a mirror for giving ourselves that compassion back. And that's what I love most about it, especially when we're dealing with anxiety. When we are struggling with anxiety, it can feel isolating, like we're the only ones experiencing it. And then it can also, often we feel shame, guilt, regret around having anxiety, and we beat ourselves up for it. And that's so counterproductive. So that's why this practice is in the book. And we're going to do a very short, simple practice to experience it for ourselves now if we have time.
Of course we do. Let's do it.
All right, great. So just get a nice, comfortable seat wherever you are. And if you're listening to this podcast driving, that's great too. Just keep your eyes open. All right. So from seated, sit up nice and tall, lengthen your spine, take a deep breath in and a deep sigh out. Relax your hands in your lap, and you can close your eyes, or if you feel more comfortable softening your gaze, that works perfectly good too, especially if you're driving, like I said. Now, as you continue to breathe deeply, I want you to conjure a feeling of love. And that might come to you instantly. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But think about the last time that you were greeted at the door by your dog or your child when you first get home. Or think about, your favorite grandma and her wrapping you in a warm embrace, something that brings you that sense of love. And then as you breathe in, begin to bring a smile to your face, because the mind doesn't know if the smile is genuine versus posed. It brings you the same benefit, which is releasing neurotransmitters in the brain like serotonin, a feel-good chemical. So already we're cultivating a sense of well-being. Okay, now from here, breathe in deeply as you hear my words wash over you. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be happy, and may your heart be at ease. And so now, as you hear me say this, you can repeat it again, either out loud or to yourself, as you bring someone to your mind's eye that you want to send these wishes to. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be happy, and may your heart be at ease. And finally, for our last round, I'm going to switch it to the I voice so that as you repeat this, you are now directing these wishes to yourself. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I be happy. And may my heart be at ease. Now take a final deep breath in and out with me. Maybe that smile is still on your face. And just allow this sense of well wishes, of loving kindness, of equanimity to wash over you. And finally, we'll set a little intention just to take this loving kindness with us out into our day, offering it out energetically to those who we encounter and sending it back to ourselves anytime we notice that we start to become a little judgmental, a little self-critical. Just replace that out with some loving kindness. And when you're ready, we'll softly open our eyes and come back into the space.
You are an absolute rock star. I admittedly opened once or twice on accident and fell right back into the deep breathing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, of course, Vincent. And thank you for admitting that you opened your eyes. That's okay. That's okay. I'm
Oh,
glad that
we
you,
have to admit our flaws. I've learned it is impossible to be perfect, nor do I want to be.
no.
We've given such great advice. We've learned all about the great things you do. Everyone out there, you now know her entire world and the ways it's all interconnected. She has a book for each, so be sure to show some love for this latest release. But before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't stop for all of our writers out there. If someone's out there on their writing journey and they're having a tough time right now, whether it's having brain block or they're having writer's block and they can't move forward or they don't even know where to start, what's one piece of advice that really worked for you along your journey?
Oh, I know, I know. And that's such a great question. So thank you for asking it on behalf of all writers. In addition to what this has done for my own writing, I was an English professor for many years.
Oh my
And
goodness.
and I also edit other people's books. So this is like my favorite topic of conversation because it's so common. So first of
Yeah.
all, if you're going through it or when you encounter it, it's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. In fact, it shows that you've just been at it and you've been working on it, and you're coming up against that roadblock because this is your time to step away. And I
Love
know,
that.
yeah, and it can be really challenging, especially when you're in it, especially when you're under deadlines. Don't I know? I've got a giant deadline right around the corner. But just as I share in the wellness space that rest is productive, in fact, it's the most productive thing we can do. Same with taking a break from our writing. It can work wonders for our brain to take a step back, to get some distance on it, and reapproach it with fresh eyes. Maybe that's a 30-minute walk. Maybe that's a couple days, maybe longer if you have the time. The final piece I'll add on to that layer is while
Please.
you're taking that time away, if you happen to know someone who you trust, who has a good eye, let them review it and get their thoughts on it. Because in the meantime, they might come back and say, oh my God, this is fantastic. And it's the part that you're hating because you're just so in it yourself, right? Or they might go, whoa, 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 what's this whole piece is missing? And you realize it's something you overlook because you're so in it and tunnel visioned.
Mhm.
And now all of a sudden you've got your inspo because they just unearthed a whole new chapter that you didn't even think of. So taking a step away and also bringing in someone, and it doesn't have to be like a consultant or an editor like me. It can be your mom who loves to read, it can be your best friend who was the editor in chief of their school newspaper, whatever. The point is someone you trust, it works wonders. So
Such amazing advice there, and a couple things to add. And it's the
yeah,
perfect example. What looks good to you may not look good to everyone else, and vice versa. You may be beating yourself up about a specific part, and someone else may say, no, that is the golden nugget I need. Incredible advice. And my final piggyback is stepping away. You mentioned that taking a break from the screen. My entire team, I always tell them double check work, just step away, walk away from the computer and come back. I always
yep.
have that fresh set of eyes. And you always usually find something when you take the extra second to stop, pause, and walk away. This has been a special episode, not only because it touches on my mental health field, but because we have a multi-author on the show bringing her expertise. I can't thank you enough. Even though I'm wearing my Jets hat, I promise my mental health is improved because I'm with her today. I'll even take it off for the rest of our show. With that, Ashton, I got to thank you so much for taking the time to not only come on one of my podcasts, but for coming on another time. I look forward to having you on that entrepreneur show down the road so we could talk more about this book and more on the business side. The mental health break, episode teased her yoga practice a bit as we dived into the mental health world. This episode, of course, dives into all things her books. Stay on the
Yeah.
lookout for that entrepreneur show. But now I'd like to ask you to do that shameless plug, your website, your social, anywhere we can find your books so our audience can connect with you.
Yes. Okay. I will tell you all those things, but then I have one final question for you that I want to ask before we go. Okay.
Uh-oh, let's do it.
Perfect. Okay. Well, once again, you can find all my books on Amazon. Learn, Grow, Shift 30 Days of Personal Growth is a fantastic book if you're wanting to get into a little bit of guided practices. There's some yoga, guided journaling, lots of good stuff there. A Year of Self-Motivation for Women is the perfect coffee table book. It makes a great gift. It sells out all the time at local stores that I have this book in. And last but not least, 101 Mindfulness Practices for Anxiety. This is coming out winter 2025. Yes. Please connect with me on social media. It is I am Ashton August. And you can also find my personal website, ashtonaugust.com, as well as my magazine that I mentioned, youaligned.com.
It's
So
such
please
incredible
connect with
stuff.
me. Thank you, Vincent. I'm so honored to be on your shows. I have a lot of respect for what you've done
Thank you.
and what you've built, and I'm really grateful for you and for our new friendship.
Thank
Um, and so if you all found me through this show, please connect with me and let me know. I would love to hear from you there. And finally, all of my followers who are listening, please support Vincent and follow all of his
Thank
other
you.
podcasts because they're amazing. And last but not least, Vincent, I know that you're a writer. What is your take on this? My two-part question is, okay? I wanted to hear your background and how you came to writing.
Oh, wow.
So we'll start
So
there.
I'll
Yeah.
start with you and your books. I think everything you shared is amazing. I think you're certainly on the right track, and I have back at you. I have a lot of respect for what you built as well. You built this platform that now extends to a digital magazine. I've learned not only the books, but I know you're following your passion with your yoga practice. And if you followed my journey, you know that's all I stand for is doing things that make you happy. Being patient in the beginning, the monetary side of it will work itself out if you dedicate yourself. And that's I learned through leaving finance, which was what I was hyper focused on for a long time, and I just found myself unhappy. But to now backtrack from that corporate finance into me writing, when I don't know how I ever shared my story in depth with you. I was hit by a drunk driver when I was 21. The driver was leaving the bar. I was walking home. I didn't want to get in the car with someone drinking or drink and drive myself. I actually got hit by someone drinking and driving, leaving a bar. I woke up out of a week later, excuse me, out of coma, had to relearn to walk and talk and do all these things. So after living in the hospital for about a
What?
month, things changed. Repping my TGH share today, the board I serve on, the PFAC, I'm one of the advisors. But it changed what I wanted out of life. I thought that money would make me happy alone. And when I got a taste of it, I found myself as close to depression as I've ever gotten. I'm open about my anxiety, of course, but depression was never really in my lane. So I had to take a step back. Started working a bunch of side jobs, published Left for Dead, my first book. And now fast forward, I've done 7 of them, 2 co-authors, 5 solo. And I think I've ghost written just as many as I published on my own, which is really cool. And I love that even more because I don't get the credit for it. And I don't need the credit. I think it's much more uh what's the best word? Much more fulfilling to see someone else's dreams come true, like I do with podcast production now. I help someone else launch a podcast. This has been over 4.5 years of me having amazing conversations that have changed my life, that have been a therapy session for me on a mental health break, that have been an advisory board session on that entrepreneur show where we're picking and choosing what nuggets to share with each other. And now, even on writing with authors, I have the amazing opportunity and privilege to interview writers all around the world because just because writing a book may seem easy in theory, we pick up a pen, we write, and we're done. It is a lot harder than that. Not only do you write the book, you have to publish the book and market the book and edit the book, proofread the book. There's a whole lot, but that's what I hope this show inspired you today to go out there, get your voice out there, whether it's podcasting or writing a book. Everyone has a story to share. I want to ask you one more time for your social media
Wow.
before I dive back into me.
Wow, that was so good, Vincent. I had no idea about the car accident. That's crazy.
Well, I try to, and it's partly what, not that I don't want fame or anything like that, but I think I could be further along in my career if I was more salesy about what I did and I leaned into but I do what I do. I'm behind the scenes. And I think now as things have been picking up as far as downloads and books and all of these things, higher end ghostwriting contracts, I think the story is known by the TBI world that needs to hear it, the mental health break community who people have more courage than me, be like you come on my show and you share your story and let other people know they're just not alone.
Well, we all have a role to play, and yours is clear. Part of yours is clearly bringing on other people so that everyone can learn from them. And I love that so much. So
Yeah,
thank you.
well, you played a big role, and now this is your second episode on the shows. Everyone out there, you got to go support her stuff. She's going to share it right now one more time.
I am Ashton August is how you can find me on social media, and ashtonaugust.com is my website.
You heard it. Be sure to go check her out on social. Go to her website to stay in the loop with her upcoming book release. I'm sure she's got some kind of newsletter or something for you to stay up to date with on there. I am at Vincent A. Lancy on all social. Please subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed our show today, as there will be more episodes from all platforms and some speaking that I do, as well as read alouds on my kids' books. The show is out writing with authors on social, but it's mainly funneled through Vincent A. Lancy now. If you have a book to share or you want to share some writing tips to help others out there, please reach out to Danica, podcast by Lancy at gmail.com. With that, we are signing off today. Thank you so much for taking the time with me.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Ciao for now.
Bye.